I think everybody's definition of success is really different, and it depends on what they are working for and what they want to achieve.
Curious kid should always be alive within, because if that's there isn't there, it's almost like you're just breathing, you're not living.
I know criticism hurts, but if we are rooted in what we're doing, in the purpose and the why of our initiative, I don't think that would matter. It would just be background noise.
Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of the Avas podcast. Today we have Manasi Gupta, who runs Use of the Mind. Use of the Mind is an organization which works on destigmatizing conversations around mental health. And today Manasi is going to talk to us about what it really takes to build an organization while you're in college, what success looks like from her eyes, and how mental health is quite an important topic to talk about and make conversations easy around. We all know how difficult times have been in the recent years, and it's very important to work on our wellness and mental health. I hope you love the things we talk about in the podcast today. Let's listen. Hey, Mansi. Hi. Can you?
Hi, yes, I can.
Yes, amazing. So, see, um, I guess we've met at least twice in our whole lifespan of knowing each other. Okay. I've known you as an acquaintance almost for like 3 to 4 years in college, but I had never had a chance, okay, to have an interaction with you. And that's when I guess you also know that during convocation almost we had an interaction through our mutual friends. And that's when, we started our whole interaction and conversation basis where now we took a session together as well in Bangalore, right? And now we're doing this podcast as well. So, what do you say? So I've heard this where when you meet someone, when you talk to someone for let's take at least um, 20 hours, 15 hours, 100 hours plus, they try becoming from a acquaintance to a friend to a best friend or things like that, right? And we being in the space where we need to interact with people on a day-to-day basis, what do you feel or what is your opinion in the way where how networking turns into a relationship?
Right. So I look at things from a completely different point of view. I am also ambiverted or a little bit towards the extroverted side. So I think somewhere in between. But I love to make friends. And I think wherever I am, I just like to know more about the person. And I think just going with the intention of getting to know them um, is just so natural for me. And when I feel that I have to network, that means that there's some need that has to be met or something that they need to provide to me or I need to provide to them. So I don't like to see it that way, although I'm sure I'm also networking, but just from a different, lens. Um,
Like,
so my perspective is, yeah, just to form connections and be out there. But of course, different things work for different people.
correct. And I actually agree to that because what I have seen, it's easier for people like us to connect to others or network with others. But building that relationship actually takes that effort, okay, to make it long term, make it, let's say not a fractional relationship where, you're offering something and then only I'll give you back something, right? That's not how it works. It's mostly around how we can take everyone together, okay, uplift them, work with them, just like this time's G20 notion, one earth, one family, things like that. So I guess that applies to some industries. Possibly I've seen mostly it in the startup ecosystem. Okay, I've also seen it in the creator space as well, where everyone's trying to, most of them, I won't say everyone, but most of them are trying to help each other out, help each other grow, and things like that. But with that, why don't we come down to a place where you tell us about how your journey has been? Okay, I can see it from a distance, from a lens where I know that you have you started use of the mind when you were back in college, and now it is at a place where it is already supporting a good bunch of people across the globe. Okay, not only in India, right? So, in a very short way, let's do this. Why don't you tell us about yourself, both professionally as well as personally? Okay, so that people who watch this get to know you a little more better.
Sure. Thank you for having me. And hi, everyone. I'm Mansi. My pronouns are she and her. And I grew up in Gurgaon in India. And I shifted to Bangalore recently for my work. And in terms of my journey, I started Use of the Mind Foundation 4 years ago in 2019. So I feel that as a kid, I've always been somebody who's exploring a lot of things, whether it's, MUNs, a lot of things related to creativity, art, public speaking. And that continued in college as well. I really explored myself. But I found that I didn't really resonate with the course that I was doing, that's engineering. So I that time really spent some time exploring what can I do, what am I really good at, where can I excel. And an inspiration was the different experiences that I had and that other people my age had, and that was to actually focus on mental health, because nobody really does that. And at that point, especially in 2019, I really hadn't come across posts or resources related to mental health. So that's where it was a very simple thing. I started it, Use of the Mind, as an online community on Instagram, and we shared stories of people. And that was what stayed with people, people coming forward to speak about things they've never spoken about, and to create a space where people can be vulnerable. So that was the is the really, I feel, essence of Use of the Mind, to really shatter that stigma. And across the years, over the years, we've come to realize that it's through making different resources more accessible also. So that's how our vision has evolved. And as any college kid, I found myself confused as to where to go, how to progress forward. But I found a very good fit at Shell as a transformational change analyst, because it really utilized my strengths. So that may be, marketing or being a people's person. I am really out there. So different strengths that I have as a person could really fit well into that role. And I'm really satisfied with the role that I have, and I'm focusing on change management and engagement over the past 1.5 years. And even if you follow me on Instagram or know me personally, you would see me doing so many different things at once. So it's hard for me to choose my favorite hobbies, but I really find a lot of peace in spending time in nature, or just um, getting to know more and new things. I think curiosity is really the fuel behind all of it.
Curious kid should always be alive within, because if that's that isn't there, it's almost like you're just breathing, you're not living, right? But with that, why don't you tell us about, let's say, from what I know as well personally, took you at least 3 to 4 years to come to a place where you're currently getting recognition for what you're doing as well, correct? In the mental health space, okay? Let it be affiliated with UN, let it be, getting the Diana Award, let it be getting, having the TEDx talk that you recently, right? Lots of things, correct? In this whole 3 to 4 years of journey, what brought that change in you? What made you to take that step, okay, to enter into this field and try to balance things where you're running Use of the Mind as well as Shell? Because it's a little difficult for a normal, let's say, even for me, okay, to manage things, so many things at parallel, right? Then what took in you in a mental state, in a mindset way, right, to balance things, to reach there? Possibly that would be helpful for people who hear this.
Definitely. I think the biggest factor for me has always been the passion for the cause, bigger than anything else. And I think that's why you can also observe so much consistency. And I think that's why consistency, courage, and empathy really, I truly, truly believe in those values. So with all three of them, I think we really, were able to be consistent. And everybody who joined us, I feel, is either trying to learn or trying to advocate mental health in their own way. So the team makes the entire difference in the journey. And apart from that, also, I don't think that we've just received recognition. I do understand that recognition is important because there's not, a lot of financial gain also in the non-profit space. It's more from a space of making a difference. But we also became a UN member 2 years ago. So consistently after, our hard work, we saw that we were getting recognized. We were receiving positive feedback from the people we were impacting. So I think that's always been there. But for me, it's not even about the market research, that what is the need. I think it was just pure passion that this is not present and we really need to work for it. Or can we please talk about mental health because no one does that?
So, why don't you tell me this as well, that if someone had to start, okay, and let's say if XYZ person has about anything, let's say person, if they give their 3 to 4 years properly, okay, do you think personally that consistency would bring them to a place where a small sense of achievement would be within them?
I think that depends on what they define as their achievement. I know it sounds cliched, but we can't look at success the same way as society does. So for somebody, maybe impacting 100 people in a holistic way for 3, 4 years is the goal, and they can achieve it. Why not? So I think everybody's definition of success is really different, and it depends on what they are working for and what they want to achieve. But I genuinely think that even if we don't really achieve what we set out for, we really learn a lot in the process. So, entrepreneurship, also, especially, I mean, I don't think it's about the result. It's more about the process, even if the product doesn't work or the company doesn't work. But the learning curve, or basically the learning experience, would be the most valuable thing at the end of the day. So I think it totally depends on the person, but they will learn a lot, nevertheless, whatever happens.
That's definitely there, but somewhere I feel like everyone wants to quantify things in a way that if you haven't succeeded, or if you haven't made X amount of money, or if you haven't reached X amount of followers, or if you haven't done X amount of, let's take broad change in people's lives. Everyone wants to quantify things, right? Learning definitely is a part of the journey. It's a part and parcel of what we do. But do you think quantifying things makes it more difficult for the person to measure success for themselves? Because let's take currently, you are, let's say, leading use of the mind, right? If someone quantifies your journey, that let's say Mansi has only done 10 workshops, 5 workshops, things like that, and she ain't that successful from their point of view, correct? Do you think quantifying success is a way to somewhere, like pull a person back or make them feel that they haven't done enough?
So I think it goes both ways. Firstly, quantifying is definitely helpful, and brands are helpful for collaborations and more. But I also feel that if someone is really rooted in their work and self confident, I mean, I know criticism hurts, but if you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, then whatever people say, even if I've done 10 workshops, maybe they've been more impactful than anyone who has done maybe 1,000 workshops. So if we are rooted in what we're doing, in the purpose and the why of our initiative, I don't think that would matter. It would just be background noise, which can hurt and disturb, but it won't shake you up. So I think the purpose and the why matters the most, and getting numbers and quantifying it is, of course, important realistically, but that's not the end goal.
Okay, no worries. In your whole journey, it must have been a little difficult to balance both work at Shell as well as use of the mind, right? Have there, like, or has there been any points where your realistic journey where you felt mentally burnt out, stressed out, just you wanting to give up, you know, and just do not want to continue doing the same thing again and again? How did you overcome these things? Okay, when you started out, was there anyone who was, let's take there for you? So maybe we can talk about that. That would be great.
Yeah, definitely. I think throughout the podcast, I'll mention it. The team makes all the difference, and I'm so grateful for everyone who's been a part of our journey at HOTM. So I'm really glad about that. And in terms of feeling stressed out, I think yes, that is a part of the process. So stress has definitely been there on so many different occasions. And I think the feeling of giving up also comes in. But the most important thing in our initiative is that since we're also advocating mental health, it's so important that we prioritize our mental health because we can't take care of others if we are not okay ourselves. So we really focus on that. If anybody wants to take a break or if they're not feeling well, we try to provide a space for each other to listen to each other. So that's really helpful. And we all create that space for people to take a break when they need to. And it doesn't need to be, I don't think people in our team, I can't speak for everyone, but at least the ones that I know and I'm close to in the team, I don't think they feel hesitant to say that, I'm not doing well mentally and I just want a break. So just, that's such a normalized part of being a part, of our organization. So I think just taking breaks and prioritizing our well being in however way we want, it's different for everyone, I think goes a really long way and just helps us, you know, give back. And we also don't like to set targets. So we want to be consistent in our work, but not that, okay, we need to do this much by this much or we need to achieve this much. Because in our initiative, we are there to create impact. And we don't want it to have more pressure on us where it's uh, more stressful that way. So I'm definitely aware that this is not a conventional sort of an interview of a founder, but that is how I function.
From what I understand, you're saying if someone's going through that phase in life, I guess everyone goes through that on a daily basis. Okay, possibly having a support system, a person to rely on, to talk to. Okay, for your sense, it's team, right? For most founders, it can be a team, but they have to build a culture, correct? Um, but if let's take if you're let's take currently in school or college, or let's take you're just currently building up, you're starting early, then possibly relying on your friends who you love. Possibly that would be a way to overcome these moments in life.
Yeah, and not just that, I don't think we can. So, just as we talk about physical health, we may, have maybe a chronic illness and we so basically there are so many dimensions even if when we talk about physical health, the things that we do on an everyday basis to take care of ourselves, like exercising or nutrition, focusing on our sleep. So even for mental health, I think just having those things that you do every day, whether you call it a self-care routine or whatever works for you, right? So I don't think we're also talking about getting through phases. We necessarily don't have to like talk about, okay, that somebody was depressed and that lasted for a couple of months. We're also talking about everyday emotional regulation. That's a part of our mental well-being. So when we feel stressed out, how do we regulate ourselves? So I think learning those skills is really important and understanding how we regulate ourselves is important. So in my journey, for example, if I were to share actionables, what works for me is also journaling every day. So that helps me understand, okay, what am I feeling and why do I think I felt that way, and what was my mood throughout the day. Secondly is also I practice gratitude. So just asking myself a simple question, what made me smile today? And that's not me neglecting the different emotions I had throughout the day, but just trying to focus on something that also made me smile, or just trying to bring my attention to that. And thirdly would also be to actually have safe spaces. So just a safe space can be your friend, your family member, anyone you just feel comfortable in expressing yourself to. So I think that's really important because you know that you can come back to them and you can share whatever you're feeling. And fourth would also be taking care of my physical health. So exercise, nutrition, just trying to be consistent with it every day. And also fifth is just as I said, being curious and exploring different things that work for me. So maybe spending time in different parks or being a part of well-being communities. So just learning more about myself.
Okay, in this whole part of your journey, okay, has there been a moment where, or has there been a crucial moment where your mindset had to play a very vital role in? So let's take you're currently balancing both use of the mind as well as, let's say, work at shell, correct? And sometimes it's difficult to balance a lot of things in play, right? And you have to make decisions by thinking of a mindset which is sometimes out of your league as well, correct? So let's say a person working as an employee at a XYZ firm, okay, they resign, start their own venture. That takes a mindset, that takes a inner, let's take, um, force, okay, to take that step, correct? So has there been any, let's take, crucial moments in your life when you had to take those steps? And if were to, what mindset did you had at that time?
I think one thing that's really important is always reminding yourself of, or even introspecting on why am I really doing this and what is my motivation behind this, what is my real reason or purpose. And that really helps us shape everything and put our energy into our initiatives accordingly. So, one such thing was I attended an expressive arts session as a member. And as a host at Use of the Mind. And it was a really wonderful experience for me. I really learned a lot, and I just felt like, wow, such spaces exist. And that really motivated me to host these sessions myself to get the right training where I can, facilitate expressive art sessions. So I think the why behind that was that I really wanted to connect with people or to create that community where people feel safe, and I felt that expressive arts was a powerful modality. So I think such moments come, and what really helps me is just reflecting and asking myself what is the real reason behind it, or why am I doing it, and just really understanding that.
Okay, that's totally fair. So, just to understand from what you said, it's more like knowing who you are and also knowing what you want. Okay, so that you can take or choose decisions for yourself in the coming future. So, let's say currently I am trying to take workshops, make people aware how they can spiritually incline themselves and transform their mental well-being, right? I have taken that conscious decision myself, okay, for let's take my coming future and my coming endeavors, that I have to keep my sense of mindset in a way that when I approach someone, when I talk to someone, when I take decisions from now on, it should be defined or inclined towards things where I can attract people towards my goal, my motivation, my vision, which actually benefits others as well. So that conscious decision is what something I took, and somewhere from what you said as well, I somewhere feel that knowing who you are and understanding who you are two different layers. First, knowing you who you are is basically level one, and then knowing your needs, who you are, what you can do, that is level two, and possibly that would give you a direction to changing your mindset towards things that you actually want to like, correct?
That's a great perspective, actually. I really like it. But my perspective was really clear. It's not even about what am I doing or what do I want to do. But if I even had an idea, just to understand why do I want to do it, and it's okay. A part of it can be to help people out. A part of it can also be to maybe reach out to more connections, whatever the reasons are. But just being authentic about why am I doing this or what is my intention behind it. I think that's the only thing I'm focusing on, and of course, knowing yourself really helps in that process, right? To if you're self-aware, that process will be easier. So that's what I had in mind.
Definitely great, because knowing the why, even for your own, let's take, decisions, is important, because that gives you clarity at a level that you might not have had earlier, right? And I hope you agree to that, because I have been to those positions or let's say situations in life where I had to question myself, why am I doing this? Okay, and that's how I feel my life has taken me through different journeys, different paths, and now that I am here, right, I somewhere feel that why has given me purpose as well. That this is what you have to go ahead with, correct? And with that, why do you think that knowing that why gives you a purpose?
Definitely. So I genuinely think that I'm actually really grateful for whatever's happened, because I do think I have more purpose at the end of the day, or more meaning to life. And I think we can, we don't have to pressurize ourselves to really um, discover that purpose. We can also create it, right? Just creating, opportunities for ourselves, exploring what works for me, what doesn't, and finding purpose through that. Purpose can also be exploration. So I feel that whatever's happened has really given me more purpose to work for this cause. And I also feel that in life there might be a lot of different things that might stay close to me and give me more purpose as I walk, forward. So definitely it adds more meaning and satisfaction every day.
Okay. So if someone was to choose the way you are currently living, okay, where they're currently working somewhere and they're also running their project on a side, uh, let's say it took you around 3 to 4 years to reach at the current stage that you are, right? If a person had to choose the similar path to be where you are at currently, what would you want to tell them? How should they start? How should they approach it?
I think just a simple advice, just really stay true to yourself. Be your authentic self, and that will really help you be successful in your own way. And secondly, define what success means to you. So if we keep living by the definitions of what success means externally, I'm sure that we will sort of suffer also in that process. And I know it's important. I'm not saying, I have really also had a lot of goals in terms of working with certain brands or achieving certain awards, but also to understand that the purpose um, is more internal, and it can, and success can be something that does not even make sense to others but makes sense to you. So just a lot of authenticity and reflection to what am I really doing, and what do I want to achieve by this. And of course, if it also resonates with quantifiable measures, then totally go for it. But just to be aware of why am I doing this in the first place. And the other things that I said, the values that I really believe in, are of course consistency. That makes all the difference, right? So just showing up in different ways, continuously learning from whatever's happening. Um, I think learning is the biggest aspect here. And secondly, there's a lot of courage involved. So for us, it may be talking about mental health, which is not easy. There's so much stigma around it. There's constant fear of being judged, of not even being included if maybe you're opening up or getting vulnerable. So there's a lot of courage as a founder that you take when you truly believe in what you're doing, and you also try to work with people who believe in the same space, right? Or try to take leaps of faith in a lot of scenarios. And the third one is empathy. So I genuinely feel that I have become a more empathetic person over the years because of my journey. And I think there will always be a lot of conflict in organizations with individuals, but to understand where that person is coming from, and responding in a manner that aligns with that really makes a lot of difference, or um, even decreases maybe the conflict or the anger that one might be feeling. So all of this really makes a difference, but it totally starts with one person, and everyone's journey is really unique.
You're very, very, like great knowing things you want, working on your purpose, being consistent around that, and knowing what success is for you as well. Okay, are definitely key pointers to that. Understanding, let's take what is consistency even for yourself is also a measure. And adding on to that, the last part, the empathy part, it comes with time. People start to learn. Okay, I have had a chance to, let's take learn what empathy is because of a lot of failures that I personally have, gone through in my life, and definitely something that is a very crucial skill, I would say, that someone needs to add personality. But just one, question, Mansi. If someone was to exactly take your path down, okay, what things would he or she, or he or she should do, okay, to let's take start to get partnerships, okay, be there, bring people to talk about it. Here in a space where talking about mental health is quite personal, and bringing people out of that zone, talk about it openly, to break that stigma. It have taken effort for you to change that behavior as well in people, right? So if someone had to exactly choose your path to do something in a similar way, okay, what would you tell them that this is the way you should go about?
I think trust and vulnerability really go hand in hand, and taking that leap of even sharing your journey or story helps people come forward and share theirs. And I really do feel that when you are authentic in this process, a lot of people really resonate with you. Maybe you've talked about something close to your heart. It might be another cause where you saw, that there were not enough resources for a certain problem, and you connect with people who in different spaces. So realistically, when we're talking about working with different organizations in this space or different meetups, or I started it in university, so we came across people in a lot of different clubs and chapters also. So all of that really helps people meet you. And I think when you also put yourself out there and be vulnerable, you will find a lot of people who resonate with that, who have maybe similar ideas, similar experiences, and that forms a core essence, is forming the right team. And even with the team, to understand what's their motivation, right? And why why are they interested, for example, in partnering or whatever it may be. That really goes a long way. And third is to keep collaborating. So even in our journey, we've collaborated with more than 200 organizations in the past 4 years. And maybe that is also reflective of, for example, the personality that I have, that I just like to be out there. But it's also about learning something from some person or the other. So we worked on different sustainable development goals, because everything also has an impact on our well-being. So how does that impact us? So venturing out and trying out different things to see what works and what doesn't, and to have an open mindset, right, that we can try this out, we can give this a shot. And at the end of the day, just really learning from all of it. So something didn't work out. What went wrong? What can we learn from it? How can we make it better next time? And something worked out. But still, like getting feedback and reflecting on, okay, what could have been better? How can I speak better? Or should I have, rehearsed more? Things like that. So I think these are just values, but they make all the difference. And of course, having a strategy, having people who are experienced, passionate, really it goes a long way. And for example, if someone already has experience working in a particular team, so maybe there will be a lot of learnings from that that they can apply to their next endeavor. So all of that definitely plays a key role, I feel.
Amazing. This is totally great. With that, we'll try going to um, the next phase of our podcast, which is simply a rapid fire round. I'll ask you 3 to 5 questions, where I'll just ask a question. You can promptly answer whatever comes first, and post that, I have a very unique way of third part of the particular podcast, and we'll enter that. Okay. So, starting the rapid fire round, tell me one book that you would suggest everyone to read. One book that changed your life.
Becoming by Michelle Obama.
Becoming by Michelle. Right, that's great. One podcast you suggest.
Podcast. I'm sorry, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but I've heard Jay Shetty's uh, Purpose podcast. I think it's In Purpose, something like.
Okay, so Jay Shetty. Okay. One advice that someone gave you that you wish that you never wanted to hear.
I think random mental health advice that people and influencers keep giving without any context. I don't want to hear
I
all
feel
of
that
that.
there's a lot of buzz around breaking the stigma of mental health than actually working on it.
Yes, and even if we're working on it, to have researched facts, and of course, everyone's learning in the process, but a lot of random things come up which I don't want to hear.
Okay, one place where you would, let's say, if you were not to run use of the mind and you were not to work at Shell, what is that one thing that you would want to do?
I think maybe spend more time with children in I don't know what capacity.
Okay, okay. What is that one place you would want to be at, let's take in 5 years, or let's take, there's that one dream that when Manasi reaches that, Manasi feels that, yes, I've done it.
I think really exploring much more, traveling independently. And I'm just starting, but solo traveling more and just being by myself would be a big achievement for me.
Okay, if you want to solo travel, what is your next destination?
Kerala in India.
Oh, I love Kerala. I really want to be there. I've heard about the backwaters, the um, natural pools that are out there, and I really want to visit. But okay, Kerala it is. Coming to the last part of the podcast, I'll tell you a one line, okay, a simple line, and you'll have to fill in the blank for it, okay. The line goes like this: if you were to motivate to have a laksh, okay, what would you say then? Have a laksh to,
Have a lux to be true to yourself.
okay, and why is that?
Because I think everything begins with authenticity.
Nice. That's something different because I I somewhere feel everyone knows what their true self is, but purposely does not accept it because of situations around them.
I feel that we're not spending enough time to know ourselves. So
That is where I feel we're just saying the same things, but in a different way. But yeah, that is actually not spending time with ourselves is like a medium or like a reason because of which that true self is not coming out. But okay, I loved having you today, Mansi. Um, if you were to say a last, let's take message to anyone, okay, who is currently wanting to become a founder or is currently wanting to start something of their own, right? What is that one line you would want to tell them, and why?
right. Yes. I think even all the cliche things that people say are really true, and you've got to really believe in yourself. And there will be a lot of days when you don't do so, and that's when you need those people to remind you that you can do this, and just know that whatever happens, you would really come out a better person in terms of the learnings that you have, even if things don't work out. So, um, yeah, just give it a shot and just believe in yourself.
Okay, amazing. I had a great time, in the podcast. There have been various different perspectives that I have learned from. Okay, and somewhere I feel that these podcasts have helped me understand a different perspective or a story, okay, from the other end as well. And I had a great time hosting you today. Um, Possibly we'll do something again when I am, flying back to Bangalore in person. Okay, but for now, I guess we're good to go.
Thank
Thank you for
you. Thanks for having me.